Cooperative learning and autonomous learning, a presentation about CL and AL teaching approach methods by Jesus Alejandro Martinez Magaña. Let's start with cooperative learning. What is cooperative learning? Cooperative learning is a teaching approach where students learn by exchanging key information to achieve common academic goals. This approach emphasizes learning through dialogue and teamwork. In this method, the teacher's roles is to guide students and assign specific class roles, such as secretary, spokesperson, and moderator, for example. The teachers assume a role where he becomes multifaceted and proactive. By assuming the role, the teacher makes sure aspects like autonomy, social interaction, and group evaluation are accomplished correctly. The student's role, by his part, is to adopt a direct, active, and interactive cooperative learning, allowing a more efficient and effective learning compared to individuals. CL essential elements. Some of the essential elements are positive interdependence, clear objectives, personal and emphasized efforts are highlighted in this method. Individual and group responsibility. In this method, each member of a team are responsible for a different aspect, individualizing his learning, but at the same time, giving a precise impact on the group learning. Stimulative interaction to strengthen social relationships. Teacher interpersonal and group activities. The teacher gives the necessary to ensure effective social interaction. Group evaluation. Each student analyzes their effectiveness and how can they improve for a greater good, based on the race's performances. As you can see, the essential elements are key or are highlighted are the students' social interactions, apports to the team general wealth, and it is needed also that the teacher makes sure that all the elements are accomplished to engage them into this interaction, of course. The group evaluation is important, as each students have to analyze their effectiveness to see how it will futurely impact into the group evaluation. And these are the essential elements. The classroom implementation mechanics are to successfully approve this is to Jigsaw, for example, that is, student is given the role of expert in an essential aspect of a topic. Furthermore, this student will meet his counterpart, exchanging key info to later share with his or her team. Peer tutoring. As a student takes the role of expert to share key info to one of his or her peers, assuming the role of teacher-student. And the group investigation, that is similar to Jigsaw. A group of his students are given a complex topic through a challenge. Each team chooses a subtopic. After all the teams are solved the subtopic, they share and organize the info in order to present their findings to other student and the teacher. CL conclusion. CL approach enables students to learn through a different method, ensuring their learning by constructing their own knowledge by themselves, adopting roles and discussing, assuming roles, analyzing their performance, and allowing to become more autonomous learning. And now we move to autonomous learning. Autonomous learning, as the name says, is an educational approach in which learners take charge of their own learning process. Its key components include self-directed learning, intrinsic motivation, personalized learning goals, and reflective practice. The teacher's role in AL is to act as a guide, working on the side to support rather than direct. Each child's learning, they help learners develop skills for independent learning and provide feedback. So in a more complete definition, the teacher becomes a facilitator rather than a teacher. It is important that the teacher is not the one to impose the learning anymore, and now give each student a freedom to select what they want to learn, but at the same time not leaving them alone completely. One may think that the teacher role is to disappear completely in this teaching method, but no. The truth is, the teacher is present, and it's very important because he is the tool. He is the key to he is the key and the main aspect, the essential aspect in which students can develop what they want to learn. The teacher is the facilitator to teach that the students obtain the learning that they chose, how to achieve these learning objectives, the learning goals, and also how to implement it in class. It is very important that teachers can do this correctly. If the teacher is not present, then the autonomy learning will be affected. And this is why it's important. It's clearly important to mention that the role is this important. Then we move on to the student's role. Now, after mentioning what is the teacher role, it is also important to highlight the student's role in this learning approach. In autonomous learning, students take the initiative, with or without the help of others, in diagnosing their learning needs, formulating learning goals, identifying human and material resources for learning, choosing and implementing appropriate learning strategies, and evaluating learning outcomes. All of these essential aspects are key, and the students take the initiative. So the students are now in charge. They take a sense of charge of their learning. Now after the teacher does not anymore impose what the students have to learn by mandatory, but rather students take what they need to learn, how they want to learn, setting goals and making responsibles. Of course, it is very crucial that both roles are correctly satisfied. If not, the role of both will be affected heavily and will not work out as desired or as planned, and this can heavily affect the learning rather than being effective. So moving on, we have the AL essential elements. How can we foster this method in a real classroom? We can do it by self-direct learning, meaning that the students take direction of what they want to learn, which materials they use, and how to assess or reflect what they learn. Intrinsic motivation. The students are motivated because of deciding what to learn specifically and not ordered by the teacher. Personalized learning goals. As said before, the students now set their own goals. For example, if one student set himself to learn English, an English topic, like for example, present simple, he decided to do this by their own and not by telling the teacher what to learn. It can be also in vocabulary, speaking, learning, and all the skills that English has to offer. So student first has to reflect on what they want to learn to furthermore personalize his goal, know what he needs to achieve. And the reflective practice, so how to assess what they have learned and their progress, can be made in different aspects. For example, a student referring their own learning, using journals, notes, quizzes, etc. These are some examples of how students can really reflect what they have learned, and not just saying, "Oh, I finished this task, and now I don't know nothing." No, they need to present a reflective practice to show the teacher that they have actually achieved their goals or their learning progress. And finally, the conclusion. In my point of view, with my own words, autonomous learning is an approach where students are able to learn in a different learning setting, in which they take responsibility of their learning by setting goals, deciding what to learn, why to learn, how to learn, and evaluating their own progress, while at the same time feeling motivated by not being restricted by a teacher's imposed learning topics. And this is classroom learning, and autonomous learning.